Hey, I'm Jim Raffle, and I'm here with Shelby Sapusik, and we are with Social Media Club Milwaukee, and we are promoting IndyFest with an interview, and I'll let Shelby tell you about that.
So today we have Tony DeZino, and he works for Motorsports Talk of NBCSports.com, and he has some heavy involvement. He travels around with IndyCar a lot. I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about what he does, but obviously Milwaukee is his hometown, so he has a lot to do with Milwaukee IndyFest too.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. And it's my home race, and it's something that's kind of been near and dear as a fan and passion. Been coming to for 10 years. But with Motorsports Talk, I cover the full IndyCar series. I also do sports car coverage, but primarily for Milwaukee IndyFest and the IndyCar series, it's a schedule that runs from the last weekend in March through August. And this year is actually a condensed schedule. So we have 18 races, but they're only in a 5 or 6 month time period, so it's very tight. So I'm not at all races, but I think once the season's out, I've been to, we'll say, 12 or 13 of the 18 events, and IndyFest has now switched this year. It used to be in June. It is now in August after the state fair. And it's a very pivotal event in terms of the championship because it's the last mile oval. It's a very challenging track for drivers, and it's usually a fan favorite. It's done a lot, and it's kind of come a long way just in the last 2 years since Andretti Sports Marketing took over promotion of the event.
And how do you think changing the date is going to affect IndyFest this year, going from June to August?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it because the last 2 years it's been different because after 2011 there had been a series of promoter challenges, I think was the way to say it. So it wasn't originally on the 2012 schedule when it got brought back, when Andretti Sports Marketing brought the event back in 2012. It was kind of last minute. We got it on the schedule for Father's Day, June. This scramble to put it together, with now having had 2 years to build the relationship back and say, okay, the race is back on the schedule now. Moving it to August, we'll see it after the state fair, and the big goal there is getting all that state fair traffic. People will see IndyFest signage, they'll get radio ads, there'll be drivers at state fair this weekend promoting the race, including the Indy 500 champ Ryan Hunter-Reay will be there on Friday, I think, and it's going to be. It has more significance in the championship picture now than it does in June, and I think that should bode well for this year's race.
Shelby, can I jump in with a quick question? So it's funny you mentioned 2012 and how they pulled the race back on the schedule at the last minute, and that's kind of how I got involved in the event with Social Media Club back then. They brought in a bunch of social media people to help promote. Have you seen social media helping IndyCar racing and IndyFest in particular?
Yeah, it's a huge part of my job actually, Jim, is to monitor the social media trends, to see what news stories are happening on Twitter. A lot of how I've gotten involved and stayed involved in racing is because of social media. I had a job a few years ago that kind of came from it, but this year in particular, there's been events since March, and I've kind of worked a little bit behind the scenes to see what's going on. There's been like a bowling event. There was this great track walk back in May where they had Hinchcliffe and purely by coincidence. Hinch was a last minute replacement, but they got the top two starters in the race actually here, and so you had a couple hundred people here on a random Tuesday, and the weather was perfect for it, and suddenly you saw those kind of things. There's this really funny video that drivers trying to pronounce Wisconsin names.
This is Kudahi. Really?
And they all fail miserably. So I got a kick out of that. There's definitely been an uptick in it this year, and I think with having more time to do it, knowing that it's been going on since at least March and probably since October, November of last year behind the scenes, that there has been a visible presence.
Awesome. So is it fair to say that you have a lot more involvement with Milwaukee IndyFest than you do other races because it's your hometown race?
Yeah, definitely, no question. The funny thing is I travel so much that I'm not able to be here as much, but when I am here, there's a lot of, how much can you build the promotion of it up, how much kind of behind the scenes stories you can do about the event, who does really well there, what the event has cooking in terms of events during the weekend. Besides the on-track stuff, there's also the Street Fest, there's also National Volleyball League in the infield, which, if you like looking at other things besides cars, that's another option. it does feel a bit more personal because there aren't as many ovals on the schedule, and there aren't as many local type races on the schedule. So, and everyone kind of looks at the Indianapolis 500 as the marquee event, but Milwaukee is an older track than IMS is. It's the oldest track in the country, and I think there is that extra level of support and passion that you want to show because the race has so much history attached to it.
Is there anything different this year that you are looking forward to, or any big surprises that the basic general public wouldn't know about at this point?
The interesting thing to me is the championship chase. In June, you're really kind of coming off the Indy 500, but you're not really sure who's going to be ahead. We're in a situation this year where Ryan Hunter-Reay has won here the last 2 years from Andretti Autosport, but he really kind of needs a win this weekend, or once the race happens, to stay in championship contention. He's about 60 points back. Neither of the Team Penske drivers, Will Power or Helio Castroneves, has had much success at Milwaukee. Helio, once famously a number of years ago, had his rear wing fail when he was leading. He spun out on the front straight. So to see how those two handle, and they were very close last year. I think they almost made contact, or they did make contact, battling over second in turn 3. So that to me is the biggest difference from the on-track standpoint. In terms of the event, what other things? I'm going to be interested to see how much more infield traffic there is this year. I was able to walk around a bit last year, but one of the things that I was like doing on race weekends, besides just the on-track coverage, is seeing what other event aspects take place.
Wonderful. Well, we won't take up any more of your time. I hear that you're headed to Road America this coming weekend, right?
Yeah. This is the best part of being home for a couple of weeks is you get Road America this weekend and IndyFest week after that. So it's mostly beds and no planes. So I'll take that any day of the week.
Do you have a prediction for IndyFest? Who's driving well now, and who you think might who's a contender for the race?
Yeah, like I said, I think Hunter-Reay's a tough one to beat. If their setup for short ovals is locked in, as it was earlier this year, he's won 5 of the last 6 on short ovals. He's going to be very hard to beat. But I'm going to say that we get another different winner. I'm going to say James Hinchcliffe wins his first race of the season.
His picture's back there somewhere.
Yeah. In the old colors, but Hinch is on a roll. He got a last-minute deal to run Road America this weekend in a Honda-powered prototype.
Oh, cool.
He'll get to spend 2 weeks here in Wisconsin himself, and given how helpful he's been to the event promotion, it would be great to see him break through. He has a podium before, but he's not won yet.
All right. Well, thanks, Tony.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, Tony, and we'll see you next weekend. Good luck at Road America this weekend.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Sounds good.
So, everyone, if you haven't bought your IndyFest tickets yet, you can still get them, and hopefully we'll see you all at the track.